This is a standard silicone gun, and a few people do seem to struggle when they're applying silicone, so I'm just going to give people a few pointers on how to use the guns correctly. Most guns have a lever here. When you press that lever, it allows you to pull the plunger back. So that's always the first step before you put your new silicone cartridge in there. So we've got a cartridge here, silicone. So we're just going to get this in the gun now. So the first thing you need to do is cut off the end there with a sharp knife, making sure you keep your fingers well out of the way. You can cut this nozzle either at the bottom or further up. The further up you go, the thicker the bead of silicone's going to be that comes out. So normally what I'd do is trim off the edge down at the bottom there and cut it on about 45 degrees. Not everybody does that, but it does make you get a neater bead if you do. So I'll just attach the nozzle now to the cartridge. And now you can just insert the cartridge into the gun. And then once it's in there, if you just squeeze the handles a couple of times, it'll push the plunger down and then it'll tighten up so that it's not going to fall out of there. So in order to get the silicone out of the end of the gun, you need to squeeze the handles together. And you can see there that it's going down the nozzle. So what actually happens when you press the levers together is it pushes this plunger down into the silicone. So that effectively controls the speed at which the silicone comes out the end of the gun at. Now if you need to stop the silicone coming out of the gun, you need to press that lever and also pull back on it gently, and then that'll relieve any pressure that's in there and it'll stop it coming out the end. So I'm just going to run a small bead down there now just to demonstrate how to use the gun. So I'll just get the silicone to the end of the nozzle, and then once you've got the silicone to the end, you need to control the speed at which you move the nozzle and the speed at which you pull the handles to get the correct bead out. So it's always a good idea to have a practice. So we're just going to run a bead now down here. And when I've got to the end, I've pressed that lever in and I'm going to pull back, and that'll stop any more silicone from coming out the end. If you just get to the end and just let go of the handles, that won't be enough. It'll still have pressure in the cartridge and it'll still come out the end. So once you've got a bead on like that, it's probably just going to need smoothing over slightly. So a good thing to use here is some washing up liquid. Now what you can do is mix this with water. You don't need to use it neat, you can actually water it down, and if you're doing a large area you can actually spray it on with a spray. But for this little demo we're just going to use a fingerful. And then we'll just bead over it like that to get a nice smooth finish. And then we can clean that off your finger. And then when you finish with your tube of silicone, if you just leave it like that, it'll start to solidify from the end there, and then eventually it'll go up into the tube and you'll end up throwing it away. So if you actually put a screw in the end, it's got to be a good fitting screw. And screw it in there tightly, and then just put a bit of silicone around the end. That'll actually stop the silicone from going off in the nozzle, and it'll be alright like that for a good few weeks. And when you come to use it, just unscrew the screw, there'll probably be a little plug of hardened silicone at the end there that you can just pull out, and then you can continue using your silicone again.